Now on visual or nonverbal communication, visual or nonverbal communication, whereby after this we'll come and check on written communication, but this audiovisual is now a combination of oral and visual, oral and visual. This one will not check, not talk much about it. So visual or nonverbal communication as a mean of communication. So you say, this is a way in which conveyed information, this is a way in which conveyed information, this is a way in which conveyed information is being passed through emotions, comma, this is a way in which conveyed information is being passed through emotion, comma, needs, intention, attitude, and thoughts without using verbal language, without using verbal language, without using verbal language. Without using other verbal language. Another one, it is a transfer of information. It is a transfer of information through body language, comma, facial expression, gestures, created space, etc, created space, etc. So component of nonverbal. Sasa hapa hii ndio swali utapata inaulizwa sana sana. Component of nonverbal cues. Nonverbal cues. So we can list them first before we start to explain each one of them. Number one, we have facial expression. Facial expression. Number two, we have what? Eye contact. We have eye contact. Eye contact. Number three, we're talking about gestures. Gestures. Number four, we are talking about what? Postures and body language. Postures and body language. Number five, we are talking about what? Verbal sound or voice. Verbal sound, stroke voice. Verbal sound, stroke voice. And then lastly, we are talking about physical distance or space. Physical distance or space. Physical distance or physical distance. So those are the component of nonverbal communication. Those are the component of nonverbal communication. So if we are talking about facial expression, is where now you talk, you can communicate through your face, the way you look at someone, okay? Yeah, umeamka asubuhi, unaenda kubishia mtu hodi, sura tu akikuangalia tu nayo hata utaingia kwa hiyo nyumba. Is that okay? So he's communicating or she communicating but through facial expression, okay? Yeah. Then you also have eye contact. Eye contact, kuangalia mtu mpaka mtu anaanza kushangaa as if you have something else apart from whatever you need. You have something else that you maybe you have something else. Maybe you are aware of about him, or you know him, or you have something that is different from what you want. Then gesture, use of gesture, maybe hands or what, to show some sign like holding person, like maybe telling person don't come, okay? Posture and body language, especially maybe, let's use an example of girls, okay? If you are still a girl and a teenager, if you want someone, okay, and maybe you happen to pass through in front of that someone, you can communicate by your body. You can communicate by your body. Yeah, you can communicate the way you will be walking. Ama umeenda kwa stage kutembea ama kupresent kitu, even your body language can also be used as a way of conveying the message. Are we together? Then We have verbal or sound. Verbal or sound. Yeah, when I was young, a bit younger, those days I was a teenager. As a teenager looking for girls, you could just go in the room of your girlfriend, but you tell him if you hear someone doing know that I am around, okay? So doing like that is not talking neither, but it is a non-verbal cues because you are not uttering some word, okay? It is just sound. It is just sound, okay? Like you can present something, then you reach at a place, you say, that is not talking, but it's it's a non-verbal communication. Then we have physical space or distance. Physical space or distance. Yeah, the way people talk while they are far from each other will also be communicating something. If you find people, maybe a minute, please. That distance space is also communicating something. Maybe these people are relative, or maybe these people. Maybe these people are relative, or maybe these people they are in love or something to do like that. Okay, you who are not them, it will communicating something to you, and those are the cues of nonverbal communication. So we write number one, facial expression. Facial expression, facial expression, facial expression. You say the human face is extremely able. The human face is extremely able to convey countless emotion. Convey countless emotion without saying a word. Without saying a word. Without saying a word. Facial expression is universal. It's universal, which can be for happiness, comma, which can be for happiness, comma, sadness, sadness, anger, anger, anger. You also have surprise. You also have surprise. You also have surprise. Fear and disguise. Fear and disguise. Fear and disguise. Fear and disguise. Then number two, body movement. Body movement or posture. Body movement or posture. Body movement or posture. You say, consider how your perception of people are affected by the way you move. Consider how the perception of people are affected by the way you move and carry yourself before them. And carry yourself before them. Consider how the perception of people are affected by the way you move and carry yourself before them, which communicate a wealthy information to the world. By the way you move before them, which communicate a wealthy utajiri information to the world. Wealthy information to the world. Wealthy information to the world. Number three, we are talking about gesture. Gesture. Talk about gesture. Gesture, you say, these are woven into the fabric of our daily lives. These are woven into the fabric of our daily life, comma, These are woven into the fabric of our daily life, which lives you may wave, point, or beckon, or use your hand, when arguing, You may wave, point, beckon, or use your hand when arguing, or speaking, to express yourself, Number 3, eye contact. Eye contact. Side visual sense is dominant eye contact. Side visual sense is dominant eye contact. Side visual sense is dominant eye contact, which is important type of nonverbal communication. The way you look at someone, communicate many things, which include interest, affection, hostility or attraction. Interest, affection, hostility or attraction. Interest, affection, hostility or attraction. Another point. Eye contact is also important in maintaining flow of conversation. Eye contact is also important in maintaining flow of conversation. And for gauging other personal interests. And for gauging other person's interest. And for gauging other person's interest. And for gauging other person's interest. Number 5. Touch. Touch, the same. We communicate great deal through touch. Think about the very different message. Given by a weak handshake. Think about the very different message given by a weak handshake, warm bear hug, patronizing pat on the head, or controlling grips on the hand. Patronizing pat on the head, mtu anakushika hivyo, okay? Especially kid, if you go to meet a kid, then you touch him. Yeah, that's also non-verbal communication. Okay? Then, or controlling grips on the arm. Yeah. You visit someone, he's not communicating, but you find that he's just controlling grips on the arm. What can come into your mind? Yeah? Someone called you Instead of telling you whatever he wants to tell you, but you go, he's just doing like this. And he's not saying a word. What should come into your mind? Yes? Or what can you interpret as now that is an nonverbal communication? What can you interpret? Yes? You go into someone's rooms, maybe he called you, but he's not telling you something. Napata tu ako tu hivi. Utafikiria anataka kufanya nini? Yes? Yeah? So that's one of the nonverbal cues. Then next, space or physical distance, space or physical distance, space or physical distance, space or physical distance. We say we all have a need for physical space. We all have a need for physical space. We all have a need for physical space. Although that needs differ, depending on the culture, situation, and closeness of relationship. Although that need differs, depending on the culture, situation, and closeness of relationship, You can use space to communicate. You can use space to communicate nonverbal message. You can use space to communicate nonverbal message, including signal for interminacy and affection. Signal for interminacy and affection. Then lastly, voice. But last, number 7 is voice. Number 7, we're talking about voice. Voice, you say, it is not just what you say, but how you say it. It is not just what you say, but how you say it. When you speak to other people, other people read your voice in addition to listening to your words. When you speak, other people read your voice in addition to listening to your word. Things they pay attention include your timing and pace, Things they pay attention include your timing and pace, how loud you speak, your tone, inflation and sound. How loud you speak, your tone, inflation and sound. Your tone, inflation and sound. Your tone, inflation and sound. So those are component of nonverbal cues. Those are component of nonverbal cues. So let's also check on purpose or importance of these nonverbal cues. Purpose or important of nonverbal communication. Purpose or importance of nonverbal communication. All right, number 1. They help in repetition. Hence strengthen the spoken message. Help in repetition. Hence strengthen the spoken message. Number 2. It can substitute the verbal message. It substitutes the verbal message. Substitute. It can substitute. It can substitute the verbal message. It can substitute the verbal message. Can substitute the verbal message. Number 3. It complements your verbal message. It complements your verbal message. E.g., parting on the back of an employee, parting on the back of an employee, parting on the back of an employee. Yeah, kama amefanya kazi mzuri, can tell him congratulations, okay? Yeah, he'll feel at least appreciated. You'll feel at least appreciated. Then another one, number 4. Number 4, you say it ascend the verbal message. It ascend the verbal message. Ascend the verbal message. Ascend the verbal message. Number 5, it provides feedback to other people. It provides feedback to other people. Provide feedback to other people. Provide feedback to other people. Number 5, provide feedback to other people. Yeah. Enda kuuliza mtu, will you be coming? Then he tell you like this. At least you go and knowing that that person maybe will not come, okay? Yeah, it provide feedback to other people. Another one, it regulates the flow of information. Number 6, regulate the flow of information. Regulate the flow of information. And lastly, can also be used to contradict the spoken message. Can also be used to contradict spoken message. Spoken message. So those are the purpose of nonverbal communication. Those are the purpose of nonverbal communication. So let's check on effective use of nonverbal cues. Effective use of nonverbal cues. Effective use of nonverbal cues. Number 1, learn to manage stress in the moment. Learn to manage stress in the moment. Learn to manage stress in the moment. Number 2, talking about develop your emotional awareness. Develop your emotional awareness. Develop your emotional awareness. Develop your emotional awareness. By responding in a way that shows you care. In a way that shows you care. You care and understand. You care and understand. Number 3, talking about keep how to read body language. Keep how to read body language. Keep how to read body language. body language, i.e., pay attention to the inconsistent, pay attention to the inconsistent, inconsistency, and trust your instinct, and trust your instinct. Trust your instinct. Number 4, we're talking about what? Evaluate nonverbal signal. 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 So those are how you can use effective use of those nonverbal cues. Those are how you can use effectively nonverbal cues. Yeah, we are talking about learn to manage stress in the moment. Learn to manage stress in the moment. Also, develop your emotional awareness by responding in a way that shows that you care and understand. In a way that shows that you care and understand. So you don't just make as if it's something new. Then keep how to read your body, how to read body language. Yeah, keep how to read body language by paying attention in a consistent. Maybe what this person is saying is not what he's trying to demonstrate while he's saying it. Okay, so those inconsistent, you should pay attention on them, because those inconsistent may be the ones that are conveying the message that that person had to convey. Tuko pamoja? Yeah, then lastly, you evaluate nonverbal signal. Yeah, you evaluate the effect of entire nonverbal signal in a communication, okay? You evaluate the effect of the entire nonverbal signal in communication. Then let's also check on barriers to nonverbal communication. 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 So number 1, language difference. Language difference. One is language difference. One is language difference. Difference. How? How can it be? Because we are talking about nonverbal communication where you are not supposed to speak. How is a language different become a barrier? Yes? Mko bored aje? Mmekula lunch ama mnasikia kulala? Why are you not communicating? How can language become a barrier to nonverbal communication? Yes? So since you don't want to talk, mimi nitaongea. So language different become, maybe in Kiswahili, what you mean by doing like this is not what you mean by doing like this in Chinese, okay? Yeah, the language of an area, nonverbal communication of a certain area might not be meaning the same nonverbal communication of a certain area. That's why to become that's why to become a barrier. Number 2, difficult in understanding and familiar accent. Difficult in understanding and familiar accent. Difficult in understanding and familiar accent. Number 3, expectation and prejudice. Expectation and prejudice. Expectation, prejudice. Expectation and prejudice. Number 4, silence, silence, silence. Silence is also a barrier. Number 5, body language, body language, body language. Yeah, this because the purpose of nonverbal, we said it can contradict the spoken word. So what the body might be doing is not what the person might be speaking. Is that okay? Yeah, what the body might be, that's why it become a barrier. And lastly, we have facial expression. Facial expression is also a barrier. 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 Yeah, those are what we can learn about nonverbal communication. Those are what we can learn about nonverbal communication. Then we cannot finish also this without tackling something known as listening skill. Because in listening, you are also not allowed maybe to talk, but to be attentive, okay? Yeah, to be attentive. So let's check something on listening skill. Let's check something on listening skill. Kuna mtu ako na swali kwa nonverbal communication? Yeah? Yeah, non-familiar accent. That's a good question, okay? Unfamiliar accent, okay? Let's use an example, maybe you can understand. Maybe those people who have wale washaikuwa na watu wametoka America. We call them niggers, okay? The way that person talk, the way that person anani, so it might be they are used to talking as they are maybe gambling or doing something, okay? And they understand each other. But if such person come here start to express the same things here, you will view that person as if he's a mad person or as if his brain is not working. But it's just an nonverbal expression that he used there, okay? It is not what you are used here. Is that okay? That's how the different accent, difficult in understanding and familiar accent become a barrier to nonverbal communication. Are we together? Another question? Yes? Yeah, listening skill, listening skill, listening skill, listening skill, listening skill, listening skills. Listening skill, listening skill, listening skill, listening skill. So what is the meaning of the word listening? What's the meaning of the word listening? Yes? Yes? Yes, in English, please. Yes? Ni Fatuma ama nani? What's the meaning of the word listening? Yes? This? Hearing. Not really hearing. Yes? Hearing and understanding. Kuna jina natafuta. Diana, what do you understand by the term listening? Yes? Getting information, yes? Paying attention, paying attention, okay? You might be hearing but you are not paying attention. Sio iko? Ya kama sahi unaweza kuwa unasikiliza but you don't pay attention. That's not listening. Okay? So we say listening is a reception of send message via sound. Is a reception of send message. Listening. It's a reception of send message via sound, where sender and receiver employ oral communication. Employ oral communication. Where sender and receiver employ oral communication. Employ oral communication. So we come to, yeah, you remember when we were talking about the element of communication, we said we have how many elements of communication? Yes? Seven elements of communication. We have number one, we have sender, okay? We also have message, and we also have what? We also have what? Encoding. Hizo ziko side moja. Is that okay? Those are on one side. Then on the other side, we have what? Decoding. We also have receiver and feedback, and feedback, okay? Then in between them, we have what we refer as media. We have what we refer as media. We have what we refer as media. So whenever we're talking about listening, we are now talking on the side of receiver. We are talking on the side of receiver. It is now the part of receiver to receive the send message. It's the part of the receiver to receive the send message so that he can interpret it. And after interpreting, he give what? A feedback. He give what? A feedback. Are we together? And it only apply when they have applied oral communication. Oral communication. So can you listen when you are reading a book? Can we say that you are listening? No, it only apply when you apply oral communication. So you say level or type of level or type of level, level or type of listening, level or type of listening, level or type of listening. Number one, we have intensive listening, intensive listening. Hii ilikuwa kwa mtihani, is it last sitting or the other sitting? If I've explained 5 types of listening, intensive listening, intensive listening, intensive listening, you say, this is the highest level of listening. This is the highest level of listening. This is the highest level of listening, which involved devotion of time and energy, which involved devotion of time and energy by the receiver to the incoming message. This is the highest level of listening, which involved devotion of time and energy by the receiver to the incoming message, to the incoming message. Characteristic of intensive listening, characteristic or features of intensive listening, characteristic or features of intensive listening. Number one, the receiver pays attention to all verbal and nonverbal aspects. The receiver pays attention to all verbal and nonverbal aspects which assist in decoding the message, which assist in decoding the message, which assist in decoding the message, which assist in decoding the message. Roman 2, taking down the main point in communication process, taking down the main point in communication process, taking down the main point in communication process, taking down the main point in communication process. Number 3, the receiver resists any noise which may interfere with the incoming message. The receiver resists any noise which may interfere with the incoming message. And lastly, the listener is objective and open-minded. The listener is objective and open-minded. The listener is objective and open-minded so as to be able to make sense out of the information being passed. The listener is objective and open-minded so as to be able to make sense out of the information being passed. So kasubheading kengine hapo, areas where intensive listening is appropriate. So areas where intensive listening is appropriate. Where intensive listening is appropriate, number 1, we have in interviews. Number 2, we are talking about in seminars and conference. conference, seminars and conference. Roman 3, we are talking about what? Teaching and learning session, teaching and learning session, teaching and learning session. Lastly, we are talking about what? Formal meeting, formal meeting, formal meeting, formal meeting, formal meeting. So that was the first type of listening. That was the first type of listening. Number 2, we have casual listening, casual listening, casual listening, casual listening. You say this is the type of listening where the receiver pays least attention, where the receiver pays least attention, where the receiver pays least attention, least attention, least attention, where the receiver pays least attention in the listening process, where the receiver pays least attention in the listening process, where the receiver pays least attention in the listening process. She or he may not be interested in the full meaning. She or he may not be interested in the full meaning of the message, but only in some aspect, but only in some aspect, but only in some aspect, such as tone, rhythm, etc., such as tone, rhythm, etc. And number 3, we have empathetic listening, empathetic listening, empathetic, empathetic listening, empathetic listening, empathetic listening, have empathetic listening by saying, this is a form of listening, this is a form of listening, where the receiver attempt to share the same emotion, the same feeling and emotion as the sender. This is the form of listening where the receiver attempt to share the same feeling and emotion as the sender. It is also called the listening of feelings. It's also called the listening of feelings. It's also called the listening of feelings, okay? Yeah, if someone has to tell you maybe sad news, okay? Someone maybe had to tell you sad news. He will not come to tell you while he is happy. Are we together? He will not come to tell you while he is happy. And after telling you, you'll find that the same emotion you develop will be the same emotion as maybe he has in his face. Are we together? So that's kind of listening is what we are calling empathetic listening, empathetic listening. Then number 4, we have selective listening, selective listening, selective listening, selective listening. You say it's a level of listening. It is a level of listening. It's a level of listening where the listener select important information, where the listener select important information and gives attention to it, and gives attention to it. The whole process is characterized by picking relevant information and ignoring irrelevant aspects. The whole process is characterized by picking relevant information and ignoring irrelevant one, Then number 5, number 6. Number 5, we have relaxed listening, relaxed listening, relaxed listening. We have relaxed listening. Number 5, we have relaxed listening. Relaxed listening. Relaxed listening, you say. This is a level of listening. This is a level of listening where listener pay partial attention. This is a level of listening where listener pay partial attention. The information being passed across and does not give any devotion of time or energy. This is a level of listening where listener pays partial attention. Pay partial attention. The information being passed across and does not give any devotion of time and energy. Does not give any devotion of time and energy. Number last, critical listening. Critical listening. I have number 6, critical listening. Critical listening. Critical listening. Critical listening, you say. This is a level of listening. This is a level of listening where the receiver keenly analyze the information being passed across. This is a level of listening where the receiver keenly analyze the information being passed across with an intention of pointing out, the weakness or the strength of the information, So those are the six types of listening, Please by now be able to differentiate. Ukiulizwa the difference between casual and relaxed listening, you can be able to tell. Are we together? Yeah, the difference between casual and relaxed, maybe empathetic and selective, and also critical. So we said intensive, you pay all energy and devotion to the incoming message. You even resist the noise. The noise, okay? So casual, you are only interested with only part of that message, okay? You are only interested with part of that message. Maybe the tone of that person always make you feel good, okay? The tone of that person always make you feel good. But then you are not interested with whatever the message that person has to convey or has to give, okay? So that one is casual listening. Then empathetic listening, we say it's a listening of feeling. It's a listening of feeling, whereby after receiving the message, the receiver emotion will be the same as the sender emotion. The receiver emotion will be as the sender emotion. Yeah, maybe you have passed exam, okay? Have passed exam. So that person who will be bringing that news to you will be happy. After giving the message, both of you will be happy. That now we say it's empathetic listening. Talk about selective listening. Selective listening, you only choose what is relevant to you and you leave what is irrelevant, okay? Like now you are under CPA section 1, okay? Or CPA say part 1. So whatever that comes maybe for CPA part 2, it is not important to you by now. Is that okay? So you'll only be keen on what is about the CPA part 1 or ATD part 1, okay? Sio ndio iko. You cannot be keen on what is CPA part 2 ama section 4 ama section 5, okay? Hiyo utakuwa unaangalia hivi unaona hiyo sijafika huko. That is irrelevant. So that kind of listening is what we are referring as selective listening. Then relaxed. You are not interested. But you are just forced to be there. Okay? Yeah, someone is communicating, you are not interested, but you are just forced to be there. Ama umefika kwa nyumba, you are tired, you don't want any noise, but you just say, let this radio be just talking so that I prevent those people who might come maybe to disturb me. Is that okay? That relaxed listening. You are not interested in kind of the message that is being conveyed, but you are just there, okay? Kama ni class unasema huyu mwalimu atatoka saa ngapi? Mwalimu atatoka saa ngapi? So relax listening. Acha amaliza, That's the kind of listening we are talking about. If you talk about critical listening, it's also called analytical listening, whereby you analyze the weakness and the strength of the information, okay? Yeah, have you ever attended maybe a talk somewhere and then you hear someone telling, hapo hauna uzito, hiyo hapana, hiyo kitu iko chini sana, hiyo kitu iko chini, amio point yako haina uzito. So such kind of person is what we say here, applying critical listening. His aim is not to hear what is there, but to analyze, is this point really strong or is it weak? Okay? Yeah, he analyzes and then he gives the judgment. He gives the judgment. So those are the kind of listening we have in communication. Those are the 6 type of listening we have in communication. So let's also check on strategy to apply effective listening. Strategies to apply effective listening. So what are the strategy? Strategy to apply effective listening. Strategies apply effective listening. Strategy to apply effective listening. Number one, pay attention. Number one, pay attention. Number one, pay attention. Number two, show that you are listening. Show that you are listening. Show that you are listening. Number three, provide feedback. Provide feedback. Provide feedback. Number four, defer judgment. Defer judgment. Defer judgment. Defer judgment. Then number five, respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. So those are the 5 strategies you can pay to apply effective listening. Yeah, pay attention to whatever that is being said. Pay attention or be attentive. Even if you are not hearing, but be attentive. Then show that you are listening. Show that you are listening. How do you show that you are listening? Maybe by nodding, okay? Yeah, smiling, okay? Clapping, okay? Yeah, maybe by giving those some verbal voice, okay? Like So that one is encourage speaker that you are listening. Is that okay? Then provide feedback. Whenever they ask you, are we together? You provide the feedback, yes or no. If you don't provide the feedback, the sender will only realize that maybe you are sleeping. Is that okay? Yeah, if you don't provide the feedback, the sender will maybe realize that you are sleeping, okay? And we say this listening is to usually apply where there is oral communication, where there is oral communication. And we talked much about oral communication, also to look forms of those oral communication. Inaweza kuwa kwa simu, it can be through telephone, it can be through face-to-face, it can be through that point is weak or that point is strong, okay? You can defer judgment, you tell him later. Is that okay? Then respond appropriately. Respond appropriately. Like if someone tell you that the class is over, okay? The class is over. Maybe to respond to that, you do what? You clap, okay? You clap and you say, thank you. Clap and you say, Thank you. So that person will automatically know that you are applying effective listening. Yeah. So we can write there as a heading. Effective listening can be achieved through. Effective listening can be achieved through. Achieved through. Command 1. How can you achieve that? Please, effective listening. Number 1, listen for the fact and remember the key word. Listen for the fact and remember the key word. Listen for the fact and remember the key word. Listen for the fact and remember the key word. Listen for the fact and remember the key word. Roman 2, listen for the feelings, comma. Listen for the feelings, comma. Interpret the speaker point of view. Interpret the speaker point of view and observe his or her nonverbal communication. Listen for the feelings, comma, interpret the speaker point of view and observe his or her nonverbal communication and observe his or her nonverbal communication and observe his or her nonverbal communication. Roman 3. Do not tune out. Do not tune out to implicit message that you are not keen to hear. Do not tune out to implicit message that you are not keen to hear. Do not tune out to implicit message that you are not keen to hear, that you are not keen to hear. Number 4, we are talking about clarify what is being said by asking question. 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 And lastly, give a reflective summary. 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 So what is important of this effective listening skill? Right there, important of effective listening skill. 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 Number 1. It improves accuracy and efficiency. It improves accuracy and efficiency. It improves accuracy and efficiency. Therefore, undertaking of procedure is always done. Undertaking of procedure is always done with minimal time wastage. With minimal time wastage. Undertaking of procedure is always done with minimal time wastage. With minimal time wastage. Number 2, it ensures that responsibility are well attended to. It ensures that responsibility are well attended to in area where delegation is embraced. In area where delegation is embraced. In area where delegation is embraced. In areas where delegation is embraced. Number 3, it minimizes confusion and conflict between the audience and between the instructor and the audience. It minimizes confusion and conflict. It minimizes confusion and conflict between the instructor and audience. Then number 4, we're talking about it provides feedback that is appropriate. It provides feedback that is appropriate, that is appropriate, that is appropriate. And the last one, number 5, to minimize wastage of resources. It minimize wastage of resources, to 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 minimize wastage of resources. So those are the important or advantage of effective listening skills. Those are important or advantage of effective listening skills. Then let's also check to barriers to this effective listening skill. Barriers to effective listening skill. Barriers to effective listening skill. Effective listening skill. Barriers to effective listening skill. Number one, we are talking about self-confidence. Number one, we are talking about self-confidence. Self-confidence and protection. Self-confidence and protection. Self-confidence and protection. Can explain self-confidence is an overtrust of one knowledge. Self-confidence is an overtrust of one knowledge, idea, opinion, etc. Self-confidence is an overtrust of one knowledge, idea, opinion, etc., which sees such ideas as dominant over those of the others. Which sees such idea dominant over those of the others. authority difference, authority difference, you say. This mainly in vertical communication. This mainly in vertical communication, which link two people of different authority level. This is mainly in vertical communication, which link two people of different authority level, which link two people of different authority level. But 3 as usual is noise. Number 3 as usual is noise, 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 noise. Noise, you say, it distract the receiver attention, distract the receiver attention to the speaker, distract the receiver attention to the speaker, hence reducing the concentration level of the listener. Hence reducing the concentration level of the listener. To distract the receiver attention to the speaker, hence reducing the concentration level of the listener. Then number 4, the barrier number 4 is expectation of communication. Expectation of communication, expectation of communication, expectation of communication, you say, once the expectation of what to hear, once the expectation of what to hear is not addressed by the speaker, once the expectation of what to hear is not addressed by the speaker, the receiver may disregard the message. The receiver may disregard the message, hence casual attention, hence casual attention, hence casual attention. So what we mean in that point is that, like today, in the evening you came or you waited after a fair that you are coming to do communication skill, okay? Then abruptly someone come and tell you, you will not be doing communication skill, instead you have to do law, okay? Yeah, your mind was not set to come and do law as a unit today, okay? So even if you sit here for 100 hours, your attention has been already been disrupted because what you expected is not what is being taught. Are we together? Yeah, then the last one is attitude. Number 5, barrier number 5 is attitude. Barrier number 5 is attitude. We say the attitude between two parties, the attitude between two parties influence the level of listening between them. The attitude between two parties influence the level of listening between them. Influence the level of listening between them. And that brings us to the end of that topic. That brings us the end of that topic as well as the end of our today's class. So you have here your papers, but performance sio mzuri vile. I thought that mungeanza na at least, because hii ndio tumefanya tu nini ya kwanza. Performance sio mzuri vile. Asha Ibrahim nani? Liz, wewe hujakuwa lakini umejaribu. Diana. This is not what I expect. Then Fatma Mohammed. Yeah, this is not what I expected of you, okay? This is not what I expected of you to participate in, okay? So wale mjafanya cut, do I give you the cut ama hiyo tuhesabu imeisha? Yes? Wale mjafanya cut, do I give you the cut ama tuhesabu imeisha? Yes? We count as passed, okay? Yeah, but there is a big disadvantage of not sitting for a cut. Labda hiyo swali ungefanya. Yeah? Who? Tuesday. Yes, so watu walifanya Tuesday. Wewe ulikuwa? Haukukuwa. Ya wale walikuja Tuesday ingawa niliambiwa hakuna mtu, but they come and requested on it on Friday baada ya nini ya law, okay? burden ni ya low. So I cannot revise the same cut kama kuna watu wengine bado hawajafanya. So what do we do? Kesho mtakuja mapema muifanye ama niwapatie mfanye kama takeaway? Yes. Wale wajafanya cut, I cannot revise what you have not done. Tufanye aje? So let's try to check some question concerning listening skill. Hebu nisaidie question paper yako. Tafadhali. Help me with your question paper. Not that. The one this. So let's try to check some question concerning on listening and maybe on concerning listening and nonverbal cues, okay? And nonverbal cues. Like if you check on last sitting, there was a question. So question to check, you can check on December 2022. December 2022. Question 1C. Question 1C. Answer question 1A na C. Question 1A na B, not A na C. A na B. Imeulizwa aje? State 4 characteristic of nonverbal communication. State 4 characteristic of nonverbal communication. What could you have said? Yes? Yes? What are the characteristics of nonverbal communication? Yes? What are the characteristics of nonverbal communication? Yes? It is? It is what? Sema na nguvu. Why do you fear? And you have the right answer. It is distance. Yeah, it is gesture. It's always expressed through gestures. Another one? It's always expressed through gestures. Define nonverbal communication. Hiyo pia ni one of the characteristics, okay? It is? It is always applied without communicating spoken words, okay? It's always applied or conveyed without applying the spoken words. Another one? Yeah? Eye contact. So sasa sema kama characteristic. Niambie kama point at eye contact. Niambie kama characteristic. So hiyo ilikuwa 4 marks. Hiyo ilikuwa 4 marks. Then explain for benefit of effective listening. Explain for benefit of effective listening. Ndio hizi hapa nimekupatia. Benefit of effective listening. Nishakupatia hapo. Hiyo ungepata hiyo ama ungeanguka. Nategemea na wewe sasa. Another question you can check. Hakuna siku inakosa ukuja. Number 2, this August 2022, number 2. August 2022, number 2. August 2022. Question 2A and B. Question 2A and B. Explain 4 functions of nonverbal communication. Explain 4 functions of nonverbal communication. What are the functions of nonverbal communication? Number 1 is? Yes? Tuongee. Hiyo tutia usema tujasoma, tumesoma saa hii. Uko nayo kwa kitabu. What are the functions of nonverbal communication? Yes. It provide feedback to other people. Yes, Diana? Yeah, it reinforces spoken word. Another one? Yes? Another one? Yeah, conveying the information about the new. Also, I can see online student pia ndio wana participate to ascend the verbal communication. Then another one, discuss 4 types of listening. Discuss 4 type of listening, 8 marks. Tacha iende. Discuss 4 type of listening, 8 marks. So tuanze moja 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 moja, tukienda hivyo. Yes. The first one is critical listening. Can you explain? Yeah, critical, where you analyze the weakness and the strongness of the information. Yes. Emphatic listening. Yes. Yeah, the person receiving the information have the same emotion and feeling as the what? As the sender. Okay. Yes. Another one. Yes. Relaxed listening. Yes. Yeah, where the receiver does not pay any attention, not much, any attention, okay? Any attention to incoming message. Then the last one, yes? Selective listening. Yeah, what is relevant and irrelevant. Another one, yes? Yes, intensive listening. Yeah, where the listener apply both energy and devotion to the incoming message, where the listener apply both energy and incoming message. Bado hiyo swali inarudiwa tu. The function of nonverbal communication pia ilikuwa this April 2022. Then describe 5 steps of listening process. Describe 5 steps of listening process. What are the steps of listening process? Steps in listening process. Yes. What are the steps in listening process? Pay attention. Another one. Yeah, showing that you are listening. Another one. Providing feedback. Providing feedback. Another one. Responding appropriately. Responding appropriately. Then the last one. Defer judgment. Defer judgment. Defer judgment. Defer judgment. Hizo swali mbili za nonverbal na listening haziwezi kosa. Naambiwa hapa, distinguish between active listening and empathetic listening. Distinguish between active listening and empathetic listening. Yes, nani Deborah, tuambie. What's the difference between active listening and empathetic listening? Yes? What are the difference? Yes, jirani ya Deborah, unaitwa nani? What's your name, please? Joan. Joy. Joy. Yeah, Joy. Can you tell us the difference between empathetic listening and active listening? Yes. Yeah, you come the same emotion as the sender of the message. You have the same emotion as the sender of the message. You have the same emotion as the sender of the message. So I think we can stop it there for today. Let's meet in our next class tomorrow. And tomorrow, maybe we'll revise the card, then we start on written communication. We revise the card, then we start on written communication. Any questions so far? Any question? Yes? Yeah? Nonverbal imeisha. Hiyo ni topic tu hivyo tu, non-verbal. Hiyo ndio tunafaa kusoma kuhusu non-verbal and listening skill. Okay? Zenye zimebaki. Tushakaba so far, tulifanya introduction to communication, okay? Tushafanya oral communication, ambayo pia ukienda hapo utapata oral communication kwa syllabus yako. Kuna topic inaitwa oral presentation, hiyo tushafanya. Meeting tushafanya. Interviews hiyo tushafanya. Is that okay? Then non-verbal na listening skill, hiyo pia tushafanya. So tukitoka tunaenda saa written communication. Na written communication involve maybe means of writing. Pia ukienda kwa nia yako utapata topics kama kuna reports and proposal. Hiyo tu ni topic kivyake, but hiyo pia tutaiweka under what? Tutaiweka under written communication because it's part of written, okay? So tukimaliza hapo utakuwa umebaki na ethics in communication and also information technology. Hiyo sasa itakuwa inaisha hivyo, tunaanza sasa pure revision. Yeah? Notes za notes ziko ama hizi sijui, lakini watu wengine nishawatumia. Yeah? Hizi zangu hizi basi ni kama tu zile mnatumia, zangu ni summarize kiasi, hata zile zenye mnatumia pia ni summarize because we have the same content ama yeah, we have the